What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Rise Podcast, episode 220. And it's just about time that we had Rebekah Soto back on the podcast. It's about that time. It has been, I think, almost 3 years since the last time we had Rebekah on the podcast, which is crazy because she actually only lives down the street from us, and we've seen her multiple times in the last 3 years.
Yes.
But we've never had her back on the show. So she was on the podcast years ago to talk about how she added $75,000 of bookings to her business in just a couple months post Creative Rise Mastermind, implementing some new strategies and working really hard. You'll hear that in this podcast. She works really hard. But she's genius. She's really, really smart with how she builds her business as a wedding photographer. And she's done some things in the last couple of years that are very specific and intentional, and they've paid off. And she breaks it down in this episode. So we love Rebekah. Not only is she a great friend, but she is an inspiration when it comes to just an awesome, awesome wedding photographer.
Yeah, so if you are in the wedding space or if you're in the brand space, this is going to be very eye-opening for you when it comes to creating and crafting a brand that reaches high-end clients. She's booking weddings for $10,000 to $15,000 a piece right now, and you don't do that by just haphazardly posting things. You don't do that by haphazardly dealing with clients in a certain way. She's
really
very
hard word. You hit it twice. That's good.
Appreciate that. She has done her business with a lot of intentionality, and this conversation is just very unique. It's very interesting, and I'm really excited for you to hear what she's got to say. She's got a ton of wisdom around this, and it's been so cool to see her evolve and grow, and she's also just a ton of fun. So you guys are going to absolutely love this episode. Is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And this is a quick little update on the Creative Rise Mastermind launch coming up. We start March 16th. If you've been listening to the pod, you've been hearing us talk about it, but we are already through 20 of the spots. So 20 out of the 30 to 35 spots have already been claimed. We've given them out and people are confirmed. So we are still, at time of recording this, we are just ending the early access. But at the time this podcast goes live, the application is open. So anybody can come and apply for the next round 13 of the 6-week Creative Rise Mastermind. You're going to hear Rebekah talk about it a little bit in her experience when she went through, but it's simply just our best stab at helping anybody who is a photographer, filmmaker, or social media manager in the brand or wedding space learn how to go on to build a 6-figure business foundation by focusing on the business strategy, the business side of stuff, right? So we're super excited. It's going to be an awesome 6 weeks. 20 out of the 30 spots are already gone. We've got people from Europe, Australia, all over Canada, and the US, which we're thrilled about. We love having a global, international group of people to come together for 6 weeks, really support each other, focus on business strategy, and get coaching, community, accountability from us and the rest of the team here. So,
and if you're wondering, like, who are these types of people that have jumped in so far? We've had people from all across the boards in all different niches and in all different revenue ranges. We've got a girl who is both a agricultural brand photographer. She does weddings as well. She's making over $150,000 a year right now. We also have people that are just starting to replace their income. We've got an FPV pilot from Australia. We've got a couple that's already making $80K in their content agency wanting to scale. We got people from all different niches, all different revenue ranges. So don't count yourself out if you're thinking, but would this help me? We focus on the business strategy, not the creative. So business is applicable to all service-based businesses in the creative space. And we'll be really honest with you if it's not the right fit.
Yeah, we did that today. We told somebody it wasn't the right fit, which is totally okay.
Absolutely. And so if you're like, I just got questions, there is actually a spot in the application where you can book a 15-minute no pressure call with us to talk about if it's the right fit for you. So we'd love to chat with you, would love to get to know you and see if we could help lock arms with you for the next 6 weeks and start growing your business. Mastermind starts March 16th, but application deadline is this Sunday. So make sure you get it in today because you don't want to wait till the very end of the deadline. It might already be sold out. So
yeah, 100%. If you got any questions about it, DM us on Instagram. We'd love to chat with you about whether this is going to be a good opportunity for you or not. We'll be very honest with you if it's not the best opportunity for you right now. So go to creativerise.com or just hit the link in the description. You'll see the apply buttons all over that. Or again, just hit us up on Instagram and chat about it. But here's our conversation with Rebekah Soto, our good friend and somebody to be admired and inspired by all. So here's our convo with Rebekah.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the episode with Rebekah Soto. Rebekah, this is not your first time on the podcast, but it's been a few years.
Welcome back.
Thank
I think
you.
2022, I think, was the last time we had you on the show. So
That's
it's been
crazy.
a while.
It's been a while.
It's been too long, actually. Is
I
what it has
know.
been. So,
I was
welcome
blonde
back.
then, and now I'm a brunette. So I'm
So
practically a
everything's
different
changed.
person. Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
has changed.
Is that the
Exactly.
same with your business? Like your business was
New hair, new life.
Blonde. Now,
Oh
like
yes,
you've completely
exactly.
transitioned
It's
your
like
business
I
too?
was like the younger, trying to be different, and now I'm like back to the roots, cool girl vibes. That's the thing.
And that kind of reflects in your business
Yes,
too,
yes.
which is
Yeah, I mean, you
awesome.
had a great business back then too.
Yeah.
You did.
We talked, I think, the last time you were on the show about how you added 75 grand, I think, to your bookings
Yes.
in
Yeah.
like 6 months
While shooting less.
while shooting less. Because the year before you were on the podcast, you really burnt yourself out, and then the next year when we had you on the pod, you would like switched a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's been like another 2 or 3 years since then. And
Yeah.
way too long, but you're
Yes.
back, and now you've got the brunette version of you,
Yes.
the true you, and you're like, I'm going back to yourself. And
It's like how Taylor Swift has different eras, and now we're just in this
Exactly.
new era. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so excited for everyone for us to get the update, but then also all the listeners as well. So thank you for being here.
Yes, I'm so
well,
excited.
rapid fire. We've done it before, but name, business, where you're from, and how long you've been in business for.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to take that one by one. Okay, name. My name is Rebekah Soto.
Business.
I'm a wedding photographer I live in Sacramento, but I shoot all over the world and
Yeah, you do.
all around California and Europe and Mexico. So all over.
And how long have you been shooting for / running your business? And then when did you go full time?
I've been shooting for forever, like since I was 15. And then I went full time with my business in like 2021 was really my full year. 2020 was like my kind of started my business. So it's been like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The
And
best question.
Our favorite question.
Christy's favorite question.
What is a flop you've had? I know you gave a flop. It has to be a different one. But what's a flop you've had so that we can humanize you to the audience when everyone is just thinking Rebekah can do absolutely no wrong? What's a flop you've had?
I have so many to choose from. But this one's bad. This one happened last year.
Let's go.
I was actually second shooting for someone this was my first time second shooting for them. And it was like a friend, that I've like known of, and she wanted me to second shoot for her. And so I did. And I recently had got a drone, and I was just like starting to fly my drone, getting used to all that. And she has the same drone as me. So I was like, perfect. And she's like, I really want this shot of like the bride walking down the aisle. Like the trees were surrounding the ceremony, and it was going to be like the shot.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, girl, you came to the right place. I got you.
I'm a drone expert.
Exactly. I've been
Famous
flying
last words.
for like
Yeah.
one other wedding, and I'm like a pro. So I'm nervous because I know that the batteries die fast. At least the drone I have. But basically, I was like, I put the drone up in the air, got it in the perfect spot. It was like 2 minutes until the ceremony started. And then the ceremony kept getting pushed. It was like pushed like 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot of time for a drone to be hovering
Yeah,
up
it's
in
like
the
30,
air.
20-30% of the time.
Yes. And so I like dropped it back down. And then the second I dropped it down, the ceremony started. And I was like, amazing. And so then I like put it back up in the air, and there were so many like bridal party members, and they were going so slow, and the walk was long. And so I'm just like looking at
hurry it up, people.
Literally, I'm looking at the remote, and I'm like, I don't know when it's gonna like emergency land. I don't know if it's just gonna drop out of the sky. And I like remember someone saying like you can control it. You just can't like land from home. If you've flown a drone, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's up in the air, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm starting to shake because I'm like, do I land it and not get a shot? Or do I just like try to like fly it even though it may be dying or whatever? And it was at like 20%, and the bride starts walking down the aisle. It's at 20%. And I'm like, okay, I have to do it. I have to get the shot. And so I like keep it in the air. It starts beeping and descending as the bride is walking down the aisle. And I can't control it. I have no control. It's literally like emergency landing. I'm watching it. It's starting to emergency land on a guest's head. I'm not
No.
joking.
Oh my gosh.
I
Cannot return to home.
no,
Emergency landing.
literally
Emergency
cannot.
landing.
Literally, and I'm like trying everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to like lift it up to fly. It's not working, and then I like run over. I'm not joking. It landed right in front of the bride's feet. Like barely missed. She's looking at me, giving me the like death glare, and I'm like,
Oh
I am
my
so
goodness.
genuinely sorry. So
Did she like stop?
she stopped. They stopped, and it lands. It was horrible. So anyway,
Okay.
absolutely
This
horrible.
is-
I can't believe
this
that
is so
photographer
good.
still associates
Did you
with
go
me.
and like pick? Did
Yes,
you, like,
I-
make your way in and like go pick up the drone during the
Yeah.
ceremony.
Hey
Like,
guys,
music-
don't
Hey,
mind
so
me.
sorry.
Did they
So
stop
loud
the
and
Just
music?
coming.
beeping.
Oh yeah, and drones are so obnoxious.
It's
Yeah.
so bad.
Did they
It's so
stop the
bad.
music or did you just run in and
Oh,
just
I
get
just
out of there?
ran in and just like grabbed it.
That's a
Thankfully,
movie
Did you get a
moment.
shot? Not really.
Not really. I got like barely the shot.
I don't think that they would have like loved the shot either.
Right,
Associated
Oh
with
my
yeah,
God.
the
associated with the memory.
Okay,
So
That's
so
a
here-
good flop.
here's the
That's a
deal.
good flop.
You don't understand drone anxiety until you have your own drone. So
Oh,
for everybody
yeah.
that's listening, and this is actually a little bit unique because there's not a ton of, there's more and more every year, which is really cool. There's not a ton of females that do drone
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's mainly more of a male dominated space. So the
Yeah.
fact that you've gotten to experience this now, I'm like, okay, she gets it.
Traumatizing.
Because there's
Very
a lot of us over here.
traumatizing.
I've had so many drone stories. I've got drone stories where it got cut out by the airport signal. It flew into somebody and we should have gotten sued. Cut them up. I've lit a drone on fire inside of a 120-year-old church I was filming, and it burnt a ring onto the whole
my
side of the
gosh.
wall, and then it shredded my arms. I was bleeding everywhere. I have so many stories of it falling out of the
Drones,
sky.
man. That's why I stay away.
So, yeah, Christy's never
Oh, stay
actually.
away.
I don't think you've ever
Really?
flown a drone,
That-
and you should
no.
stay away.
No.
I don't-
That's
This
a crazy
is
flop.
not converting me right now.
No,
so.
that's a crazy flop. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
good one.
pretty crazy. I really was so stressed out, but
Oh my gosh.
it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, you learn.
Yeah, you live and you
Have
learn.
you tried a ceremony drone shot since?
I have
Okay.
and have been successful.
Okay, good.
So
good. You
Amazing.
bounce back.
yes.
Amazing.
You bounce
That's
back.
good. That's
Okay,
good.
so that's so good. For everybody that's new to the show, or maybe you didn't watch Rebekah's old episode from this must have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Give us a quick understanding. You said you're a wedding photographer. We obviously know this, but for everybody that's listening, give us a breakdown on your wedding journey over the last like maybe 3 years since the last time you were on the show. Like where was your business at then? Where's your business at now? What are the things that you are loving about your business now that's changed from back then a couple years ago? And then we're
Yeah.
going to get into what's changed and how you created a lot of that change,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of great things about your business.
Yeah. So a lot of things have changed, honestly, but mainly I think I'm just in a different. I think you're constantly evolving as a creative and as a like wedding photographer specifically, as a brand. And so looking back on like that time, it was amazing. And I remember loving that like time in my business. But now I think I work with a little bit like more high-end clients. That's so funny. The range of like luxury is very wide. There's
Yeah,
people that,
totally.
are charging $100,000 to shoot someone's wedding. And
Yeah.
then there's someone who's charging $1,000 to shoot someone's
Yeah.
wedding. So it's hard to like say like, oh, I remember on the podcast, I'm like, I'm a luxury wedding photographer. And like, yes and no, there's a wide
What
range
were you
of
charging,
that.
do you think, back then? Were you like
I think
4,500?
so. Yeah, I
$5,000?
think it was like 4,000, 5,000 type of range.
Yeah. Which can be luxury depending on where you are,
that-
right?
Absolutely.
That
It
is
can be, but like you said, the luxury range is very big.
Yeah, totally. And I'm surrounded by people who charge so much more than that. And so it's a scale, but I think now, where I'm at now, I'm like, I've evolved in my clients that I'm working with and like my pricing, the venues that I'm working at. And yeah, that's like probably one of the biggest things that have changed.
So your
Yeah.
clientele and your brand has shifted. So you went from like $4,000, $5,000, probably $6,000 weddings. Describe who your clientele looks like now, and then what's like an average package that you're booking right now.
So my starting price for 2026 is 10, which is a little scary, a little
That's
crazy.
awesome.
That is amazing.
But yeah, but anywhere between maybe like 8 to like 15,000 is like an average.
Awesome.
Which is really exciting. And I feel like I found a really sweet spot with clients. Like I've shot weddings that were multi-million-dollar budgets where I've been like a second shooter or like an associate shooter or whatever. And those have been some of them have been insane, amazing experiences. And then others I'm like, the clients literally do not care about you as a vendor at all.
It's a different breed.
You're not necessarily wanted there. You're just there to.
You're just
renting your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't even know your name. They just know that someone picked you, and that's it. So I feel like I'm in a really incredible, like, sweet spot where people are so invested in, like, they really want to work with me, and they also are investing a lot in their wedding. So I feel like it's just, I love where I'm at, and I don't know if I'll like continue to grow and charge more and go up the ladder in that way, but I just love the clientele that I'm reaching. And I think a great way to describe them is like they love the experience in things. And they love all of the details, and they are so attracted to like certain styles, and they're very intentional with every little part of their wedding, and their wedding is like a big deal to them. It's not just like
who's gonna match that.
It's not just like we're just gonna go to the courthouse, and some people love that, that works for them. But they're like,
we're going to the barn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I feel like my type of clients, they are so excited to throw this party for like their guests, for the people that mean so much to them, and hiring someone that really captures that like specific style that they're looking for is like really important to them.
So you're booking now like $10,000 to $15,000 weddings. First of all, is that would that have been surprising to you like 3 years ago? Like where were you at? Like, were you anticipating that was like the natural progression, or are you kind of like, whoa, that's actually crazy that this is
the break the ceiling you thought you were ever going to charge?
I feel like it's like a mixture of both. I remember like meeting up with photographers or like hearing about photographers that were charging like $10,000, and I'm like, $10,000? What? That's crazy. And so I think like when I think back to myself in that way, I'm like, I feel like my past self would be shocked that I'm getting the opportunities that I am, and like shooting at the locations that I am, and the people that I'm working with. It's like absolutely crazy. But at the same time, like the sky is truly the limit. So
absolutely.
I feel like, I don't know. It's a mixture of both.
I love that. And when you are thinking about like, okay, I'm now booking these 10,000, 15,000 or, whatever clients, what does that process look like that's different than when you were charging like 4,500? Like what's different about the processes that you've changed where you're like, okay, I've obviously evolved in clientele, and you probably also need to evolve systems, and you need to evolve the booking process and how you talk to them and the way you treat them. If someone's sitting here going, okay, I'm doing like 3,500 a wedding, or I'm at 5K a wedding, I would love to be up to like the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, the plus of that. What would you give advice to somebody of like, okay, this is how I had to shift. Like, this is how I had to act different in the booking process?
Totally. I think it's like multiple things. I think you have to decide that you have to think of the person who is like that photographer. Like, there is a photographer charging $10,000. There is a photographer charging $30,000 a wedding. And what do they do? What do they look like? What does their social media look like? What does their website look like? What does their branding look like? And I think you have to take the step to like be that person before you are that person, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I think, and also just taking, like, no one ever feels ready to jump their pricing. Like, my starting price for 2025, I'm like, what year is it? 2025, I think it was like around like 8,000. And for 2026, I've starting at 10. And that's like that's $2,000 difference.
Like, that's more than 20% when you look at.
And like, do I feel ready for that?
25%.
I don't know. Like, maybe, maybe not. But
You'll never know unless you try.
Exactly. I think you have to like make those steps before you're ready, and like really become the person that you want to become before you feel like you are
Yeah.
that person, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. So one
That's
of the
really
things
good.
that I think you probably would have thought 3 years ago, the last time you were on this podcast, and when you went through the mastermind, and you made a lot of progress because what were your prices when you came into the mastermind? You think like
I don't
less
even
than
know.
that? Because I know you shot so many weddings. I feel like there was like in the 2 to 3,000.
Yeah, I think it was in the 2 to 3.
So you like doubled your pricing coming out of the
Yeah.
mastermind, had a great year. Now you've doubled it again. And I think one of the things that we often think when we go, I don't know how someone could ever charge 10 grand or 30 grand. It's because we don't understand what goes into their process. And I don't just mean process on the day. I more mean their process, as you were just talking about, Christy, and you were just talking about, Rebecca, their process even prior to the day. Like, where are the ways in a luxurious way they are hand-holding their clients, walking them through processes that not only make things enjoyable, but build a ton of trust, a ton of exclusivity, and create a vision that is going to be executed on the day perfectly, right? Like, people who are doing $30,000 weddings, or if I can put that in my own world, $15,000, $20,000 brand video campaigns or $50,000 brand building projects, you have to be doing things that a lot of people don't know are even a step.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of extra steps that actually create this incredible, exclusive, luxurious handheld experience. So what are some of those things that you're now doing in your process?
Yeah.
Whether it's even prior to the sale, like maybe it's something you're doing in your brand that you think is attracting these people and making them go, wow, that's the person I want to shoot. So maybe pre-sale, and then after you make the sale, what are some things that you now do that you could say,
most wedding photographers, or I used to
or
not do.
quantify why you can charge 10 grand that you maybe wouldn't have done 3 years ago. You don't even know existed 3 years ago.
Right. I think they're like pre-sale, like as just when people like look at my brand, click onto my Instagram, look at my website. I think it's all about curate, at least for me, where I am in like the wedding world and where I want my brand to look like. It's very, very curated and intentional. Even like my stories, I feel like all of my Instagram stories have a very similar like aesthetic.
Your story today on the way here, you were like on the way to go yap on the podcast, and it's like the most aesthetic looking like
It's high end,
it's
right?
high end.
Yeah. It's like very stylized.
Yes.
And I feel like the people that I want to work with, they're like me.
Yeah,
and
they
they
love
love
that.
that. They like
Yeah.
they want that for their wedding. And so that's something that I've like changed, and I become super selective on like what I share, because there's different points in your business. Sometimes you just have to get things out to the
Share
world.
everything you
Share
can.
everything. Like, quantity is better than quality. And I've
yeah,
been through
totally.
that.
Yeah.
Like, I've done that. Like, you just have to get it out and you have to get the inquiries. But now where I'm at, it's like quality is over everything. Like, I feel like every little thing that I share is actually very, very thought out of like, I know it's so like sad to think, but even like how your feed looks on Instagram, that's very important to like specific
that's
brides.
not sad.
Yeah,
That's smart,
absolutely.
right? This is where a lot of people would look at that and say, well, Rebecca's just obsessed with the creative. And it's like, no, she's obsessed with the business idea, the ideology behind brand.
Totally.
And so you're using creative as a very important business tool to help you build the brand that you know your ideal client is going to be just
Exactly.
obsessed
It's
with,
connecting
right?
with the ideal client.
So it's
Exactly.
brilliant, you're right? I love how you just said there's a time to be very obsessed with quantity. And in the early stages of a business, when you are fighting for inquiries, quantity is king.
yeah.
But once you get there and you've built somewhat of a brand, you're right. As you start to push and pull your clientele, push away the people you're not so interested in shooting for anymore, wedding wise, and pull in the new weddings that you think are going to fit your budget, fit the vision, and most importantly, who they are going to love you. It can get more selective, right?
It's
Absolutely.
it's more of like there's a filling phase and then there's a honing phase. And I feel like the beginning is a filling phase, your quantity filling, and then now you're in like the chipping away.
Exactly.
And that's super cool.
Because like as wedding photographers, you only can take on like a certain amount of weddings per year.
Yep.
So it's like, for me, I'm like, I want to make sure every client that I have is going to be on par with what where I want my brand to go.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
So I think just being really figuring out who your like ideal client is and only speaking to them, you know, like forgetting all of the other things and just like really being selective that's been huge for me. And I feel like that has put me in the spot of when people like look at my brand, they feel that I am just aligned with them, you know?
Yes,
Totally.
absolutely. So I love that like pre-phase process of being like, okay, it's all about quality. It's all about honing things in. What about post-sale? So let's say like a couple, a bride, they book with you. And what are the steps right after they like sign the contract? What does that look like for you? Or is it, because I'm thinking about the person who's sitting here going, okay, I feel like I'm more just like shooting the barn weddings, which again, it's not a bad thing, but like I'm shooting lower end. How do higher end people want to be dealt with? Do they want quantity communication or do they want just quality? Do they want lots of touch points? No touch points? Like what does that look like for your brand specifically with your clients?
I feel like when I was on the podcast before, I like really honed in on client experience. Like I'm like, I need to be as intent. I need to send emails and questionnaires and guides and all that stuff. And that worked great for that time.
Yeah.
My couples loved that. But I feel like as I've evolved, I realized my couples just want me to do an incredible job on their day, be so reliable and like someone that they can trust. So I feel like my client experience is actually more hands off than it used to be.
Yeah.
But it's just way more intentional. Like my timeline calls look way more, instead of like, let's piece together your full timeline and like, let's plan your whole day out. It's like, I'm just here for the photos. Like I'm responsible for like making sure you have enough time for this and this and this.
Yeah.
And picking a reliable like second shooter. I'm not just going to bring someone along that isn't experienced. Like I'm going to be looking for people that are potentially even more experienced than I am to bring them on. Like I want them to feel like on their wedding day, it's they don't even think about like me as a photographer. I'm just there and they can trust me. And I feel like that is more important to them than like sending them, you know, guides and updated emails. And I still do that sometimes. Like I just went on a trip recently to Brazil and I got like a lot of inspiration for this year. And I shot a ton of film and I sent like an email to all my clients and was like, I just went on this trip and got so inspired. I can't wait to pour all of this into your day. So
that's awesome.
Those touch points of just letting them know that I am constantly like evolving and like focus on them. But at the same time, they just, I don't know, it's just this level of trust, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like I really resonate with you because when I was shooting weddings full time a few years ago, I was shooting very high-end weddings. And those people are busy.
Yes,
those people also have wedding planners. Like they don't need you to be like, let's sit down for a 2-hour timeline call and like figure out how long it's going to take to cut your cake. Like they don't need that. Like they've already hired people for all of those other details.
Yes.
They just want you to be the expert of what you're the expert in.
It's ironic how like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 weddings, you're actually wearing a lot more hats for the bride than when you're charging a $10,000 wedding.
And I feel like, if you agree with this, I feel like higher end clients also, they value speed and they value quick responses, but they don't need all of your time at all points of the day, right? Like I know, and again, this is different for every client. So if you're listening to this and you're going, oh shoot, I have like 4 calls and I got to change my whole business. Stop and think about your ideal client and what they actually want. Because there are a lot of clients that do that do spend a lot of money on a photographer and they want to feel like that photographer is their best friend and that they're checking in all the time and that security blanket feel.
And
your
I've been
specific
there.
client.
And I've done that.
You've been there.
Yes. And I don't regret it at all. Like I feel like I had a huge connection with those couples and that worked amazing. But just for this like new season, I've realized a lot of my clients, they just want me to be a reliable, trusted photographer.
100%.
And something that I recently was like, I need to be sure that the times I am like reaching out to my clients, it's organized and ready. And so the things I feel like I've just shifted. I like scheduled all my emails that I'll be sending to all my clients this year the other day. And I went in and like personalized them for like each client, like the timeline calls that I'm going to have with them and all of those emails and questionnaires and timelines, that's all scheduled and done. So now I'm like, I don't have to think about it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Chilling.
Yeah.
And if they have a question, I respond.
I'm here,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool, Rebekah. Okay, something I want to talk to you about, because I think a lot of people listening are like, I follow Rebekah and I see that she's going to all these amazing countries and she's got all these cool travel places she's going up to next. She's going to Cancun. She's going to the Amalfi Coast. She's doing all this stuff. How the heck did she get those weddings? Like, how did she get those opportunities? How does she be able to do these destination weddings? What would you say to somebody that's asking those questions? And what, I'm sure you have so much advice for someone in that space, for just from the experience that you've had. But what would you say to somebody who's interested in getting started in destination weddings?
I would say it takes time, first off. So like, give yourself grace. If I've been wanting to get into the destination space since I've really started, even though maybe I didn't show it, that was like the biggest dream of mine, was to be able to travel and shoot weddings. And so I really started focusing on it like 2 years ago, when I remember I went to the Creative Rise Inner Circle,
Yeah.
and I was really talking with you guys about that.
Heavily,
and that was
was
like
a big focus.
And I've done a lot of different things and tried a lot of different ways. And I guess what I would say is, like I said before, be the photographer that you want to be and showcase those things. So if I want to be like a destination photographer, you got to go get content. You need to go
travel.
Absolutely.
You got to start traveling, because people don't want to hire someone that's like, this is my first destination wedding. Like, I do not tell people that. I don't tell people that this is my first year doing destination stuff, because it's like, they don't want to take a risk on you.
No.
So I feel like you have to showcase that, like, you travel and this is part of your brand and this is your life. And so like, I am always posting, even when I'm traveling for fun and like with friends, showcasing that I'm like on the move and I shoot everywhere and I shoot film here and there. And I feel like that's a huge part, is just to like be that photographer already. And then I've got my clients in every single client that I've got in a destination world. They found me through different ways. So I think that's encouraging, because
Absolutely.
I feel like I put a lot of effort into different things, and they've all kind of worked out in different ways. So,
so what are some of those ways?
Yeah.
Like, even if we just get nitty gritty,
Yeah.
like, how did you get, your Amalfi wedding?
Sure.
How did you get Mexico? How did you, let's dive deep into
deep
into the business.
So the Amalfi Coast wedding, I'm so excited about that one. That one's coming up really soon. It's in June.
Cool.
And that one is like a big budget. Like, they paid my full rates, which a lot of times when you're traveling, you kind of have to make those sacrifices of like, okay, maybe they won't pay my full rates, but I'm going to get content, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But they paid like my full rates, and it's going to be incredible. And they found me through a publishing company called The Anti-Bride. You can invest in like being published in different like magazines or like publishing feature accounts, stuff like that. And a lot of people say they don't work. But I booked multiple weddings that are both like big budgets.
Awesome.
From
If you do
them.
enough of anything, it's probably going to work.
Exactly.
that's
You've
true.
probably
And
just done a lot of it. Yeah.
Yes. So that was something that was really helpful. I like found a feature like company that I really resonate with, and they like focus on travel, and they focus
Cool.
on like very unique elements to weddings. And so I like worked with them and got my work featured, and they like did like a little interview on me on their like website, and I'm on their directory. And
Cool.
so that was a great way. That's how I booked the Amalfi Coast wedding.
Are you
Awesome.
open to sharing how much something like that costs for people?
If
Someone was to go down a similar process, what's a ballpark of what a feature
Right.
partnership looks like?
It can be anywhere between like 1,500 to like 10,000, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Just depending on what you're doing. The one that I did was like 2,000, I
So
think.
2,000, you
Okay.
booked a like probably $8,000 wedding. I'm
Yeah,
thinking like
yeah.
plus
Yeah.
all your travel and everything. Like it's a
It was
decent
like
ROI. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was, I think, like a $12,000 package.
Yeah, that's
So,
amazing.
I mean, you take the risk of like, investing in those things, but it's been a great experience for me. And I think feature counts are really frustrating because you're like, I'm giving you this money and there's no guarantee. And it's kind of feels a little scammy at times because you're just like, I don't know. But at the same time, you got to play the game. So
it's marketing.
Exactly.
You pay for marketing. You either pay with your time for organic or you pay for paid. And it's just a part of the game.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so I booked a few weddings from there. And it also just gives a huge credibility. Like so many of my clients were like, wow, you were featured. Like that's amazing. And so that's like a great avenue.
It's good PR.
That's great.
And then I also, another wedding that I did, I collaborated with a planner and we offered like, we're going to collaborate together and do your wedding for free in Italy. If you're getting married in Italy and you have a venue and you have a date, like not just like, oh, I'm going to elope and
someday.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a legit wedding.
If you have like a legit wedding already planning up, like coming up, then we'll like basically do your wedding for free. You just have to cover like travel costs. And that was my first wedding that I booked internationally. And I feel like that was just a snowball effect. Like sometimes you have to do things for free to be able to get into the world. And like, I feel like just doing that got me an Italy wedding on my calendar. And then all of these other people were like, oh, okay, like she's going to Italy already. Like maybe she'll shoot my wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
How'd you market that?
We just posted it on our social medias. Yeah.
And
like
then
a giveaway post.
Yes.
Giveaway post. And then from the giveaway post, did they go anywhere else for you to get their info?
Yeah.
Like, was it, you built out a funnel, right?
I literally, we just posted on our stories and we're like, if there's anyone getting married, I think we posted on TikTok too. If there's anyone getting married, like reach out to us and we'll get on a call. And if you're a good fit, one person is going to get this. So
it's awesome.
Let's go chat. And so we chatted with a few people and found the perfect bride and groom. And they're like, it's going to be amazing. So
that's so cool.
Did anybody else that you chatted with end up booking you later on?
I think we had some people interested, but I don't think anyone fully pulled the trigger. Gotcha. But I mean, it does give you exposure.
Oh, the exposure for that is so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
okay, what didn't work? What was like, ooh, I thought this was going to get me destination weddings and it didn't. Do you have anything? Or does everything just kind of eventually just work itself out?
I kind of feel like you just have to be consistent. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's something that doesn't work. I think you just have to do it for longer than you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
It's hard. Like, another way that I've got a destination wedding is through like seeing people on TikTok and like they're talking about their destination wedding, and I just go onto their Instagrams, like all their photos, DM them, and like pitch myself basically. And I feel like pitching is something that I've learned from you guys. Like, I'm not very good at it.
The idea of pitching yourself as a wedding photographer is so foreign to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it's like not even heard of at all. But there is this is like the wedding that I'm so excited for. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, she like posted about her wedding on TikTok, and I saw it, and I went onto her Instagram and DM'd her. And this one I was just like, I do this stuff all the time. Like, I literally pitch myself multiple times a week, just randomly. Through, like,
I love that.
Because might as well. Like, rejection is scared of me.
Rejection hates to see me coming.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great quote.
So
Flips the hair.
Rejection hates to see me coming. But yeah, so I like pitched her, and I do this kind of stuff all the time. So it's like I was not expecting it to necessarily work out, and we got on a call with them, and oh my gosh, it's just going to be really, really good. And they ended up booking me, and it's going to be like a 5-day wedding in Italy. And like,
let's go.
Everything is just, it's so cool. They're like the it couple, and it's just going to be really, really good.
That's
so
sick. It's amazing. That's so fun.
So anyway, pitching, like, I can't even tell you how many people I've pitched where I'm like, I would love to shoot your wedding. Like, I pitched celebrities. I've pitched random people on TikTok, people that I'm like, I know that this would align so well with me. Yeah. And like, a lot of them don't work out, but some of them do. Yeah. And I feel like that's super encouraging to
it's great.
So what I love, we talked about this on last week's episode of the podcast. We've talked about this on so many episodes of the podcast. This is a huge part of the mastermind, and I'm hearing you talk a lot about it. You were talking about the difference between being reactive as a wedding photographer versus being proactive. You going and pitching yourself, that is incredibly proactive.
Yeah.
You going and partnering up with a planner and going and creating a giveaway, proactive.
Yeah.
You flying to other parts of the world to go get content so you can market yourself for destination weddings, proactive. Like
Right.
everything about your brand being incredibly intentional, but every single thing you post so it's perfectly aligned with the ideal client, proactive, right? Like this is such an important thing. If you guys listen to the pod right now and you're going, I just wish my business looked something like Rebekah's business. Well, you might be like, you might be having to shift to be more proactive as Rebekah's doing rather than being reactive, right? Which is just waiting for inquiries to come or kind of seeing what ideal client falls into your lap. Oh yeah, they're my ideal client, but like, did you actually plan to connect with that type of person, or were they just the ones inquiring? Like, get proactive. I love that. I love how you're talking about making investments in proactivity, right? Investments to fly across the world and get content, investments into content days, investment into something like the mastermind you went into a couple years ago with us, where you built out a lot of systems and had a lot of growth, investments into giveaways, investments into paid posts on random feature accounts, right? And doing PR work. Like there's a lot of investments you've made over the last couple of years that allow you to build a business where you can charge 10 grand for a wedding, right? So if you're listening to the show and you're like, wow, I could never imagine charging 10 grand. We're going back to what I was saying, or what we were just talking about 15 minutes ago, where Rebekah's probably doing things you didn't even know existed in her business, and she's being proactive about it. And now you're getting results like this, which is incredible. So that's huge. A big congratulations from us on all of that.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
I really feel like I've been telling I'm like, this is my year. I'm like, I feel like this is like been such a snowball of work. Like it's like so many and the thing is, I've done so many things that just haven't worked out. Like so many failed or not failed, but like it just
the return.
You don't see the results right away.
Exactly. But yeah, and I think this is just going to be a snowball effect, and this is just the beginning. Really, I'm so excited to see like where all these, weddings bring me and all of that. So it's awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
What's the for everybody listening? Speaking about investments, you've made lots of investments, as we just covered, into travel, into partnerships, into feature accounts, into something like the Mastermind, the Creative Rise Mastermind, the Inner Circle. You came to the Inner Circle, right? We had an awesome time down in the desert, the Inner Circle, a couple years ago. How do you view money as a wedding photographer, and how do you position that for business growth? Because you've made a lot of comments about things that you have paid money, or you have done for discounts, or you have literally booked your own tickets when there was no revenue on the other side of it to just go and get content, or investing into something like Creative Rise Mastermind. There's no guaranteed returns, right? You got to work hard and get all the systems and the accountability. You got to make it happen, right? We're going to support you in that. How do you find the courage to actually make the investments that help you grow your business? Because I think there's a lot of people that want to be where you're at, but they're not willing to make the investments you've made.
Yeah. I think the way that I view investing in your business is like, you're giving up money for time. Like eventually I could have learned how to pitch, maybe like if I just didn't invest in the mastermind, and like maybe 10 years down the road, I'd been like, oh wait, this is how you pitch something,
Totally, yeah.
But I think when you put money down, you're just like fast forwarding, you're like getting a jump start to your business. And so that's how I view things. Like the things that I invest in, it's like very purposeful and intentional, and I'm taking maybe a cut here, but I know that it's like propelling me forward, if that makes sense.
It's like shortcutting your time.
Exactly.
Like, it's literally taking a shortcut, but not in a bad way. It's like the smart shortcut.
Exactly.
Which is really cool.
And I think there's a lot of people in specifically the wedding industry that they've been doing this for like 10, 12 years. And then they see people who have been doing this for like 4 or 5, and we're coming up on that. We're in the same level of clientele now.
Or surpassing.
Yes. And they're like, whoa, you didn't put your time in.
Yeah.
But it's like, I didn't need to, because I've learned from people, and I've like done it. I feel like I've invested, and that truly propels you forward. And so, yeah,
I love that. That's awesome.
It's a great answer.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah. What round of the mastermind were you in? Were you in round 8? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Round 8.
we're
Feels like
coming up on
forever ago, eh?
That's crazy. Which round are you guys on?
We're 13. 13 launches in like 2 weeks.
2 a year.
Is when it starts. Yeah. That feels like forever ago round 8. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Talk
crazy.
a little bit about your experience in the mastermind. What made you want to join? And what was something that you took away as impactful?
Yeah. I was telling Jody and Christy this before, but I am the biggest fan of Creative Rise. Truly, like, I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm not, it's nothing like that. I just, like I said, investments are so important. Truly crucial for your business growth. But sometimes you'll make an investment and it's not what you thought it was, especially education. I feel like education is so hit or miss. Like, some people come see the world and then can't deliver. Yeah. But I feel like Creative Rise, like the Mastermind specifically, it's designed in such a way that the information is so simplified and attainable, and it's just like you can just put the information into your business right away, like apply
It's
to
actionable.
it. Yes, exactly. And I feel like just the fact that it's like easy to understand marketing, it's not like this like 20-step system of like how to get your Instagram posts to see, like it's like I don't even understand. It's like a mystical thing. Like you guys make it so simple, so easy to understand. So yeah, I think what brought me to the mastermind was I just wanted to understand business better. I feel like I am a creative and I land more on those types of that mindset. And so yeah, the mastermind really just helped me break through the cloud of like, how do I market my business? How do I speak to my clients? How do I pitch? How do I make these strides? How do I make money? And I feel like you just made it so easy to like understand. And that's why I'm such a huge fan. I'm not joking. I tell everyone, I'm like, go listen to the podcast and then go do the mastermind. Like it's just so incredibly helpful.
But I love what you said. It's like, it's simplified. And when you start to really understand things, it tends to not be complicated. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you, running your business now for like 6+ years, you're like, oh, the things that I do are simple. Like, it's just that there's a lot of options, and you kind of go like, which simple option is the right one for me? And I feel like you were such an incredible part of that community because I feel like you helped other people understand what their next simple step was. You know, like, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to learn about business, and it's not something that comes naturally for most people, especially people who are very artistic like yourself. But I'm like, even though you're like, I totally resonate with just being creative, I'm like, no, Rebekah, you got business brain as well in there too, and it's so cool to watch.
And
cool to watch.
pro education aside, with friends, you travel.
Oh yeah,
Talk about your little pod here. Shout out to the girl gang.
Insert some B-roll of their trip.
Yeah. Let me just stop you right there. I met 2 of my best friends through Creative Rise. So like, set aside the business stuff. I met 2 of my best friends. We were in the same small group in the mastermind.
Accountability pods,
Yes. And we weren't even that close in the mastermind. And we would like chat, message, call sometimes. But we met up like randomly after the mastermind just because we were kind of all in California. We're like, let's just make it happen. And we all met up, and it was like connection at like
fireworks.
Like literally we were like, where have we been from each other our whole lives? Like they're just like the friends that you meet. It's just, it has to be a God thing, you know?
Yeah.
Shout out to Julia.
Yes,
Shout out to
Julia and Michaela.
Great people.
We've been on like 6 trips, and it's been
International trips. Not like, come to Ohio and
where were
you?
you?
It's like
we just got back from Brazil, Florianópolis, Brazil, and
crazy.
we were there for like 10 days, and it was the best time ever. Like, awesome, incredible. You have to go to my Instagram, look through my film. I just posted about it. But yeah, it was seriously so much fun, and that's just like a small group of the people that, you know, meet through the mastermind. And yeah, they're like my absolute besties. I was literally calling them like on the way over here. So
so
yeah,
fun.
they're always happy.
They're so great. Well, let's wrap up with a few more questions. We'll wrap up here. What would you say to somebody that is scared to make the investment into something like the mastermind, or maybe it's a different type of investment we've talked about today? How do you want to encourage people who want to be where you're at, or maybe it's a version of where you're at, but it's their version of it in a couple of years? How do you encourage them to think about using their resources, their time, their money, and their focus to invest into things, even if it feels really scary? Because I'm going to assume the investments you often make into things, they don't feel like, oh, this is perfect, it's 100% going to go well. Yeah. There's some fear in that, I'm assuming. How do you encourage people to kind of find the courage and do something that's going to really change their situation?
Yeah. I think I talked about this on the last time I was on the podcast, but I just think about the life that you want to live. Like, your dream life is worth taking those risks that are going to propel you forward. Like, any step you take is a step, you know, just even if it doesn't work out exactly how you want, that's like one step. Okay, maybe that one wasn't great. Now on to the next, you know. Like, I just went to this event that I was hoping to be. I invested money to go to buy a ticket to go to this event. It was like a networking event for planners, photographers, and all those other vendors and stuff. And I walk away and I'm like, that was not worth it at all. But it is what it. That was one step.
Take it on the chin and move on.
You never know. Yeah. And so when it comes to investing in something like the mastermind, it's like there's so many proven stories of this worked for other people that I feel like that's such a relief to be like, okay, this is a good investment. And I just feel like your life is too short to even I was talking to you guys 3 years ago. That went by in a blink of an eye. What in the world? And I'm so thankful I took those steps. Even going to the inner circle, meeting up with Julia and Michaela. At that point, I don't think I had met up with them when we talked last.
Yeah.
And that was an investment, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now I'm they're my best friends. We went to Brazil, had the best time of our lives. And
help each other out all the time with lots of stuff.
Yes, yeah. We're always even on our trip to Brazil, we took pieces from the inner circle, the hot seat chair.
Nice.
Yeah, we did that together on our trip. And so anyway, I just think life is too short to not pursue the things you want to pursue, and don't let money get in the way of that. You know?
So good. That's really, really good. Okay, well, where can people find you if they want to follow along?
My Instagram is soulikethesun. Soulikethesun.com is my website. And I just posted a TikTok today, so I could be going on TikTok.
You're back.
I'm back.
She's on TikTok.
Yeah, I love that. And then last question, why is it all worth it? Why is it worth it to
pursue your own creative business, make the leap of faith, take the risky quote unquote option for yourself? Why has it been so worth it for you?
This is one of my favorite questions. And I kind of talked about it last time I was on the podcast, but I truly feel so blessed. I'm not trying to brag or portray myself in a certain way, but I truly feel so blessed waking up every day and thinking I have control over my life. I have control over my week, my year, who I go see, where I get to go. I'm not forced into a Monday routine. That just doesn't work for me. And so the idea of being able to just choose and have freedom is so big for me.
Yeah.
And then also I feel another topic that I'm just super passionate about is a lot of times we think our businesses it's a selfish thing. I'm going to build up my business and it's going to be the best business ever for me. And I think that you could have that mindset, but how I think of it is when I build up my business, I get to bless the people around me and I get to pour love and life and experiences into the people that I love. My parents are pastors. My dad's a pastor and has been in ministry his whole life. And it's not like the kind of pastor where I feel like he really hasn't been able to go and do much. And my mom as well, they haven't like travel, and it's not a huge dream of theirs either. But I surprised my mom for her 50th birthday, and I'm taking her to Italy with me. And
Are you serious? That's awesome.
and that was like a huge thing. Like, she's never been to Europe. She's never been across, like, barely out of the country. And so, I don't know, if it wasn't for me in making these investments, if it wasn't for me taking these steps, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And that to me is so much more motivating than like anything.
The money.
It's like they're really building a legacy and impacting the people. Like, think of the people that you love. Think of the people that like motivate you and drive you, and like you get to create a better world for them. Like that is how inspiring is that.
That's amazing.
So
That's one of the best answers we've ever heard
Absolutely.
on the podcast.
Flip that.
Yeah, flip that. That's amazing. Well, thank you for being on the show. It's so great to see you again. Congratulations on all the success you're having. Not surprised. We're not surprised at all. And you are just a phenomenal example for people that want to really take this seriously. Like, if there's one thing that I think describes you, it's just the intentionality of going, this is my career, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to make decisions to make that happen. You're not passively just like, oh, it'd be cool if I could book in Italy. What you're like, no, I'm doing it. Like, you know, so thank you for being a great example to people, other people that want to follow in those shoes.
Yeah,
awesome.
Rebekah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, that conversation with Rebekah was so good. I think my favorite moment of the entire conversation was when she said, rejection hates to see me coming, or rejection's afraid of me.
Yeah, and she like sat up in her chair.
That
it was so
good. And I hope that you feel that way after that conversation. I feel like, I don't know about you listening, but I know Joey and I both feel like whenever we're like at a spot where we're like trying to do something new or trying to scale, we're trying to grow, it's so invigorating and cool to be able to borrow confidence from someone else who's doing it, right? Like, if there's the next phase or level in your business that you're like, like I really want to get there, but like I'm nervous. Sometimes you're borrowing confidence from people who have that confidence and they're moving forward and they've got that momentum, really helps give you momentum as well. And so if you're someone like that who's like, man, that felt so good to even just listen to that, I'm like already hyped, you would absolutely gain so much from being in a creative community that's like that every single day, which is why we offer the Mastermind. Literally, we only run it twice a year. We keep it to 30 to 35 spots. And you guys, every single round, it's so much momentum. It feels like everyone shows up every week with so much just drive, energy, and they're just because they're borrowing confidence from each other. So if you're sitting here going, that was really awesome, but like I need the next level of that, that is literally the Mastermind. So if you want in, application deadline is again this Sunday. We get started on March 16th, but you got to get your application in before this Sunday because we got to send out journals. We got a ton of stuff that needs to happen before the Mastermind starts. So we got to lock everybody in. So if you are a service-based creative, whether you're in the brand space, the wedding space, if you're a social media manager, we would love if you would invite you to go and apply to this round of the Mastermind. We only got a few spots left.
It's going to be so good. So 20 out of the 30 to 35 spots are already gone. If you want one of those spots, run, do not walk. Come and ask us any questions. We're going to, if you want to book a call, just DM us that you want to book a call, and we'd love to chat with you about if it's a good fit or not. And like I said, we'll be super honest with you about that. That is something that deserves honesty, and that is something you'll get from us. So really excited about that. Super excited about this episode. If you love this, share it with a friend. And last thing, sorry about the audio. We actually had a battery inside of the component that actually records our audio. One of the batteries died. Don't buy Duracell batteries. Go with something else. Go with the Energizer.
Maybe that's what happened to Rebekah's drone. Maybe Rebekah's drone had a bad battery in it.
Yes, but anyways, hopefully that audio, we had to scrape the audio from the camera. Hopefully it was okay for you. If you made it this far, I'm sure it was. But guys, appreciate you guys. Glad you were here. Go follow Rebekah online so you can actually see the things that she was talking about. She's a really great example. She's a great follow. So go hit her up, Soul Like the Sun. All of her links are in the description below, and we will catch you on the next one. See you guys.